In this exercise, we will discover the keyframe velocity option and we will create this animation. New composition, same settings, duration, I'm gonna need 7 seconds. Okay, right click, import file, I go to exercise 14, I select the 2 images, click import. I'm gonna drag and drop the background and I'm gonna drag and drop the jetpacker and put him right here. In the middle of the platform. I'm gonna go to 1 second. Press P. I click on the stopwatch. I go to 2 seconds. I'm gonna move him here. After 1 second, I'm gonna move him here. After 1 second, I'm gonna move him here. After 1 second, I'm gonna take him here. A little bit to the left, like this. And at 6 seconds, I'm gonna take him from here to here. I'm gonna press J. I'm gonna go back to the previous keyframe. J once again. This one, I'm gonna move him a little bit to the edge of the platform, like this. And now I'm gonna modify the motion path because this is not the animation we want. I'm gonna animate the motion path. I click on this keyframe and I'm gonna move the handle like this. I want him to jump, so he goes up and then down. This keyframe, I'm gonna move it like this. I'm gonna press Alt and move this keyframe separately like this. I go to the next keyframe, the next point. I'm gonna move the handle like this. I press Alt and I move this handle like this. Next point, I'm gonna move the handle like this. I press Alt and I'm gonna move this handle like this. This one, I'm gonna make the handles horizontal like this. And now I'm gonna play the animation, see what we get. This is much better. I'm gonna select all the keyframes. I can do it like this, or I can click away and click on position, and now I selected all the keyframes. And now I'm gonna press F9 to easy ease. Let's play the animation now. It looks a little bit better, but not exactly how I want it. I'm gonna select the keyframes, or even just one. And I'm gonna go to the graph editor. So this is how the graph looks like. Of course, make sure you have edit speed graph selected here and not edit value graph. So this is the graph of the speed. We see how it changes over time. I'm gonna, from here to here, I'm gonna drag this handle a little bit to the right and this handle a little bit to the left. Now start slow and then fast in the middle as he falls, and then slows down before he lands like this. Let's play and see. I think this looks good. Now here, I want him to completely stop. So the speed reaches 0 pixels per second. And then after that, I want him to jump quickly. To do that, I take this point up. I'm gonna press shift to stay on the horizontal line like this. And I move it up to 1500 pixels per second. And now let's see. When he jumps super fast like this. I can change the graph manually by moving the points and moving the handles, or I can do it using the keyframe velocity. I right click on a point, I go to keyframe velocity. Even if I leave the graph editor, I can right click on a keyframe and choose keyframe velocity like this. I'm gonna go back to the graph editor, right click, keyframe velocity, and here we have this window. We have incoming velocity and outgoing velocity. We have the speed, we have the influence for the incoming and the outgoing, and these values determine how the graph is going to look right here on the left side of the keyframe, and these values determine how the graph is going to look on the right side of the keyframe. I'm gonna show you. If I want to make the speed, for example, this speed a little bit higher, let's say 2000 pixels per second, I can manually type it right here, click, I write 2000 and click OK. And just like that, I increased the speed. The point went up. I can right click again, keyframe velocity. This is the same keyframe velocity. If I want to make this handle a little bit longer, I can go here to influence and type 90, for example, and click OK. And just like that, I made the handle longer. Right click, keyframe velocity. Of course, as I said, outgoing velocity is responsible for this part, the part on the right, and the incoming velocity is responsible for the part on the left. I'm gonna make the influence 50%, and I'm gonna make this handle a little bit shorter like this. I click on OK, and now this handle is a little bit shorter. Right click, keyframe velocity. I want the speed to be at 0 here when he lands on the platform right here. I need it to be 0. And after that, I want it to be fast, but not that fast. I'm gonna type 1500 instead. And influence, I'm gonna keep it at 90. I click OK. And now we get this graph. I'm gonna play. You see how he stops completely and then jumps quickly. Now I'm gonna repeat the same jump from here to here. I'm gonna repeat it from here to here. To do that, I go to the next keyframe. I'm gonna right click, keyframe velocity, speed. Of course, I want it to be 0. I want him to completely stop when he lands. And I'm gonna make the influence 50%. Outgoing velocity, I'm gonna make it 1500, and influence 90%. I'm gonna replicate the same graph, exactly the same, and click on OK. And now, as you notice, we have the same graph, and if I play, we get the same jump. It would have been impossible to do this manually, And that's why we use the keyframe velocity. I'm gonna move to the next. I'm gonna type the same values. Next keyframe, right click, keyframe velocity, speed, of course 0. I want him to stop completely from here. Influence, I'm gonna make it 50 to make the graph look the same, 50%. And outgoing speed, 1500. Influence, gonna type 90. Okay, and now you see we get the same graph from here to here, from here to here, and from here to here. If I play, we get the same jump. Okay, I'm gonna continue. We notice he completely stops here. The speed is 0 pixels per second. That's not what we want. We don't want him to completely stop. So to solve this problem, I can click here on this keyframe, take this one up, and now I need to take the other point. There's the incoming and the outgoing. I take the other one here, I put it on the same level, and now he no longer stops. He doesn't reach 0 speed. I'm gonna Control Z to go back like this. I undo everything I did. I'm gonna right click, keyframe velocity, and show you a trick for these situations, which is continuous. Lock outgoing to incoming. I check continuous and click on OK, and now when I move the point, both move together. Now we only have one point. We can move up or down, and we no longer can move these handles up or down. The handles stay always horizontal. I can make them longer or shorter, yes, but I can't rotate the handles anymore. They're always horizontal like this. I'm gonna right click, keyframe velocity, and you notice when I check continuous and type a speed like 300 for example, the other speed changes as well. When I change the incoming velocity, when I change the speed here in the outgoing velocity also changes. I'm gonna type 500, same thing. Okay, I'm gonna go back to 300, and influence, I'm gonna type 30 here and 30 here. I'm gonna have the same length of these handles, identical. Click on OK, and now let's play. I think this looks good. When he goes up, I want him to go super fast. So I go to this keyframe, right click, keyframe velocity. In this case, we don't have outgoing velocity because this is the last one. I'm going to change the incoming velocity to 2000 pixels per second. I click on OK, and now it goes up like this. I'm going to manually shorten this handle a little bit like this, and now it looks better on the graph. Let's play. Now it goes super fast. I'm gonna try to increase the speed even more. Let's try 3000. Okay. I'm gonna go back, Control Z. I think 2000 looks better. And the last thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave the graph editor. I'm gonna activate motion blur. I click right here, and now I'm gonna play the entire animation. And now the exercise is finished. You will go do the same and don't forget to save.